Tonight, Dundalk TV is with Adam Mate. Adam is a survivor of aneurysm and stroke, and he has had many battles in his life that he's been affected by these medical conditions. So, anybody that doesn't know the background of your story, Adam, please share your story with us.
I was an 11-year-old, perfectly healthy, very fit, extremely confident young boy. And one morning I was up brushing my teeth, and I got halfway down the stairs and just started screaming in absolute agony, basically holding my eyes, saying, my eyes are burning, my eyes are burning. And my mum didn't know what to do, so she basically just grabbed me and put me in the car, took me to my local GP, and we finally got to my GP, whereby it was a very busy day there. So that day I actually had to wait to see a doctor. So they didn't actually come and see me until I threw up all over my mum. So that actually made them sort of think about it and said, okay, well, might need to see this doctor a bit quicker. So the doctor came in, had a look at me, and I was presenting all the effects of a migraine, which is not an emergency. So unfortunately, they said that they will maybe call an ambulance. Unfortunately, back in ambulance strike on, so for me to get to the hospital, it took another 40 minutes for the ambulance to actually rock up. So I got finally the ambulance turned up, and my heart stopped. So that was pretty intense for my poor mum and dad. They were both there, trying to figure out what was going on as well. And back in 1986, stroke and so forth, and aneurysm wasn't even on the radar for kids back then. So it was never really understood. So it was one of those crazy moments. So yeah.
Well, we've had discussions in the past. We talked a little bit, and we've been getting to know each other. I assume it's been about 6 months, and you had told me that you were very lucky that there was a certain doctor there.
Yeah, there was a pediatrician that was actually there that day. Thank God for him, because he was the one that actually made the call to get me to a hospital ASAP. So it was, just fortunate that there was that pediatrician that was not meant to be there that day. He just was there, thankfully. And he called it and said, get this kid straight to the hospital. So it was, just good fortune that he was there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
Okay, so fill in the blanks a little bit about what happened shortly thereafter, and what the diagnoses were, and what kind of problems you faced after you were initially seen, and what happened after the day that you suffered this medical emergency.
Well, I ended up getting rushed into the children's hospital by ambulance, whereby, as I said, the ambulance guys kept me alive. I was then rushed straight through the doors into the hospital, and there just happened to be a man coming out of the hospital that morning, and he was incredible. He actually had a look into both my eyes and said, okay, bang, rush him straight up to theatre, and he scrubbed up, and 22 hours later, I was in intensive care with every tube, every heart monitor, the entire kit and caboodle hooked up to me, and it was 22 hours of brain surgery to repair the bleed, and my parents actually came into the emergency room, and they discovered this gentleman sitting at the side of my bed next to me, and basically I was lucky that he was there. He just was sitting there reading the morning paper, and he basically explained to my parents that this is your son's very, very unwell. And there was also a priest in my room at that same time, ready to give me my last rites. My father actually promptly grabbed the priest and moved him out of the room and said that there's no way my son is dying today, so forget about it. And that was it. So I was very, very fortunate that morning to have that neurosurgeon, which is Mr. David Wallace, who saved my life.
How is the care where you live at? You live in Australia, and
That's
and let me try it. I have gotten it wrong in the past. Melbourne.
Melbourne, Australia. That's it.
Okay. So
No,
and how is the medical care there? Because I don't have much faith in the doctors, the neurologists, and everything in America. I have a lot of respect, and I think the neurosurgeons do a great job, but I don't think the neurologists, at least the ones I met, you know, I know what I was suffering and what I was going through, and their reports showed me they didn't have a clue what they were talking about. So how is this? Your surgeon was excellent, but how is the rest of the medical care?
look, I was in a coma for a long time. I was basically it was months before I did anything. I actually the first thing that came out of my mouth, I was actually doing the production for Annie, the musical, and I woke up one morning and started singing "The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow." And that actually got every single person in that ward in tears, because that was, they basically said I'd never walk, talk, do anything ever again. So it sort of gave a little bit of hope back to the medical profession as well, and the nursing staff, that there could be some sort of breakthrough with this kid. So I was extremely fortunate to then be able to recover and move on. From that point on. But I did actually go back to sleep for a month or two after that song. So that was also an interesting thing. So
Okay, so you had mentioned about walking and talking, so you had to learn how to talk again, and the issue with walking, you were in a wheelchair for how long?
a few years, probably around about four and a half years. I was basically told I'd never walk or talk or do anything ever again. So I was extremely fortunate to, relive again. So,
Okay, well,
I was
you not only did
reborn
that,
because,
you not only did that, but you moved on to living a full life, and you have a hobby that you like to do, and you actually are a teacher in that particular hobby. You instruct other people. So tell us about how you got involved in that, and why you love it so much.
yeah, look, I was a skier for many years before I had my brain aneurysm, and it was for the main reason for me learning to walk again and talk again and so forth was to get back on skis. So I started in a sit ski, which I was the first sit skier in Australia. back then, and yeah, it was pretty amazing. So I started in a sit ski. I had a gentleman by the name of Dean Shepherd as my coach. He assisted me getting back on snow, and then I actually progressed to being on two skis again. And he kept coaching me after that. And from that time on, I am more comfortable when I'm skiing. When I ski, I don't have a disability. When I don't have skis and ski boots on, I walk with a fairly decent limp due to the stroke. Yeah, it's but when I'm skiing, there's no disability. It's like it just disappears, and yeah, that is the most freeing time of my life. I absolutely love being in the snow.
Yes, well, you love you love the ski, and also you have a big passion, as I do, to help others and to bring awareness. So tell us a little bit about your advocacy work.
Yeah, well, I'm a stroke ambassador for the Australian Stroke Foundation. I do a lot of motivational speaking for that as well. I do a lot of yeah. Uh, I do acting. I've been doing acting ever since I was a kid as well. So I still do a lot of television work and stuff like that. I normally have a full head of hair, but I've just recently had another deep brain stimulator operation, which you can probably see. I've still got the bandage on the side of my head that I'm getting the staples out on Thursday, so because they stapled my head back together again. So yeah, we're hoping to get another surgery in I think 3 weeks time to complete the operation. So that's my next big hurdle.
Well, to me, if I wasn't used to talking to you, and I didn't know about the surgery and know you so well. I mean, I just wouldn't believe that somebody had a surgery last week, a brain surgery, and they are actually, I'm interviewing them, and you are functioning where you're not having the slurred speech, you're not having any of the delay in the thought process or anything like that, and you actually understand what I'm talking about. So that is absolutely amazing.
In
But
fact,
you
I'm
have
having my seventh or eighth brain surgery in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm an experiment, man, and that's there's no one that has had this sort of surgery before. So yeah, they're going to try and do some more things to get my deep brain stimulator repaired and working again, because I had a DBS put into my brain when it first came out back 15 years ago. And that was for my dystonia, which is a condition that is a involuntary muscle spasm condition, which also disappears when I'm skiing. For God's sakes, I don't understand it.
so what is the DBS? What is that?
It's a deep brain stimulator, so it basically gives the impulse, the right impulses in my brain to keep my left side from completely cramping and spasming all the time, which I have had over the years. After the amount of brain surgeries I've had now, I just keep going in as the guinea pig and keep coming out smelling like roses. So
So it's kind of like a control board, something to that effect for.
yeah, look, it's like a pacemaker basically. I've got it's like almost a pacemaker in my chest, and that goes up my neck, up into where you can see where they've cut open my head again last week to repair the DBS, which they have to do another repair job in a couple of in a few weeks. So
Well, tell your doctors they're doing an amazing job because it is. It's amazing. I'm so happy for you because there's so many things that the doctors do get wrong, and I'm not going to say the doctors that you're dealing with, but I'm speaking of the medical profession. So it certainly is nice when they do get things right, and I like to give them credit when they do. But unfortunately, we just have too many misdiagnoses going on, and then people aren't getting the treatment that they need, and it's very frustrating when you know that you have a certain condition going on, but they only want to talk about something that some doctor said that that they totally got wrong. So that's and it's not me. I hear this stuff around the globe. So now you have another surgery coming up. Let's talk about that, and then I'd like to hear about your son when you finish talking about the surgeries.
Yeah, well, I've got, as I said, another repair job on my DBS because they didn't actually they didn't know because it's never been done before. It's sort of a trial at the moment, so they've figured out what they need to do now. So that's why the next surgery they're going to nail it. Let's hope. So I've got to just be positive with it, because if I go in with a negative attitude, there's not much point. So yeah, I just love being motivated and inspiring others to live the best life that they possibly can.
Yes. And I said I would like to ask you about your son, but I'd like to get. There was one question I want to ask. You were dealing with nausea, and you were taking some kind of medications, and just in case somebody has a brain surgery, has the kind of headache that you were having, and migraine effects. What kind of because if it was me and I was suffering, and someone else had tried something, I would like to know something that worked for somebody else. So what kind of medications are you taking right now?
Well, I was on endone this morning just to knock the headache out of the park for me, which you can obviously see I'm looking and feeling a lot better now. So yeah, endone. I take diazepam for muscle spasms and also for my head as well. I take Dantrium, excuse me, Dantrium, which is a muscle convulsive medication as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a cocktail of medication, which unfortunately with a joint or a bit of marijuana pretty much does exactly the same thing as all these tablets put together. I don't understand how on earth in this country it's still illegal to have marijuana that's medicinal purposes to help with these sort of injuries and these sort of pain, because you know what? It's the one thing. And look, I'm not a druggie. I'm not into all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, it's the one thing that helps my entire body is a bit of a reefer. So I'm a massive advocate for medicinal marijuana.
Well, I've heard that from other people as well, and they said that they were taking one medication to counteract another medication, and then the medications were making them feel really bad. And then once they started taking or smoking, however they took it, either a hash oil, cannabis cookies, whatever, however they got that feeling from, well, I said feeling, but relief, I should say, from the marijuana to the pain and different symptoms, seizures. It's like cannabis oil. I hear it's huge to help people out that have the seizures.
I think it is an absolute disgrace in this country, in this year that we have. The only reason that it's not legal in this country is because every pharmaceutical company would go damn well broke, because that's the only reason it's not legal. And I tell you what, it is a disgrace to the whole medical profession.
Well, that's around the globe. That's around the globe. So it's not just where you're at. That's the big pharmaceutical companies are trying to stand in the way because they want to find a way that they can make money. So they want to keep that money coming in.
That's exactly right. Whereby
it's not about your health. It's about their bottom dollar.
Exactly right. And I'll tell you what, that is an absolute disgrace because they don't give a shit. And
okay,
that's where.
Wait a second. I talked to you about that before. I understood you were getting a little upset before, but I want to keep it decent, please.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to drive anybody away. So they don't get, they could care less about you, what your family's going through, or any of that kind of stuff. So I fully understand. Okay.
And even partner and stuff like that, she has to deal with the side effects of the pain and so forth. It's not just me, it's the people around me as well.
Yes, well, when you're dealing with seizures, some people have 50 seizures a day. So, if you're dealing with that, then you're on constant alert of what's going on. So, and I've heard people totally turn around where they're leading, relatively normal lives. Using the marijuana, especially in the legalized sense, people were really seeing huge benefits. And then some people, they have to do what they have to do. And, they're not, it's not legal where they're doing it, but they're doing it and they're still seeing some huge benefits. So, and you can't blame them. You can't blame them. I have been in so much pain. At times it's just, you can't function. So if you can't function and your life is totally miserable, you're looking for any kind of relief that you can get.
And this is the thing, like I work in disability, right? I deal with people in all sorts of disability advocacy and stuff like that. And I've been doing this for 20 plus years, working with children in all sorts of different areas whereby, like I've worked in child protection for years. I've worked with so many different people with so many different needs. And the amount of medication that is just pumped into these kids, and like for myself as well, the amount of medication is just absolutely ridiculous. ADHD. You know what? I've worked with kids with ADHD for a long time as well. You know what? I can take them out before they go to school in the morning, and I run them around for 40 minutes, and they can then go into class and they can concentrate because they've already got rid of all that external energy that they had. So that's where, the amount of ADHD misdiagnosis for kids in Australia is absolutely disgusting as well. So,
well, I would think that would be globally once again. I think that would be globally, and just I actually worked at a soup kitchen, and there was a young man there that no one could break through. But I understood that you would ask him to put something somewhere, and he didn't understand it. So. And I understood that after my brain injury, that when you told me to do something, you didn't tell me once. You had to tell me 100 times before I understood. So I broke it down. Instead of telling the guy 10 things, I just gave him 2 things to do. And then once he got those 2 things, then I added something to it. And I really didn't go past that. I just said, okay, you take these cans and you separate them. It was a soup kitchen. So he was just separating some cans and putting them in piles. He was so happy that no one was giving him a hard time, and that he was actually able to do something. He felt like he was accomplishing something, and people came up and said, wow, we've never seen anybody work with this. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but we've never seen anybody work with him. I said, I understand what he's going through. So, I have seen into the eyes and been in the shoes of people that do have extreme disabilities. After my brain injury, I couldn't remember past hello, and I couldn't take down a telephone number. I had to work very hard to get to where I'm at right now. So, and there's other people, and people slip through the cracks all the time. There really isn't people out there helping them. And we're shooting a video right now, but one of the things that I can tell people that have traumatic brain injury, especially, I can speak about that mostly, but I think it'll benefit in some other areas as well, is if a person has a brain injury or a different disability and they don't comprehend what you're telling them, if you shoot a video telling them what they're doing, and if they even see themselves on video making mistakes, they'll be able to pick that up by watching that. And I'm not going to say everybody. I wish that it was everybody, but there are certain people that are going to benefit from that very much so, and it will help them in the long run. And then they'll be able to look back and see the progress that they're making too. So a lot of people deal with a lot of depression. So if people can see that they have been making progress over a year or a couple of years, that gives them a lot of encouragement to keep on going. So I think shooting videos is very important. Now, I want you to talk about your son. He was a blessing for you to have after everything. You know, you were blessed just to even live, but then to have a son, you've been very blessed with that. And your son is how old? And then please tell how he is dealing with all the stuff that you're doing right now, or going through, I should say.
He's 11 years old, and he is just the most amazing kid in the world. He befriends kids with disabilities at his school. Any kid that is picked on or whatever, he makes sure that he looks after them. He is absolutely incredible. He is my absolute angel of life. Sometimes, you know, he keeps me going, and yeah, he is just such an incredible little boy. So we ski together every second week that I have him. We go snow skiing together, and yeah, it's just amazing. He is just such a beautiful advocate for disability as well. So it's yeah, he's learning from his dad how best to look after and deal with, you know, people with adversity. Basically, he's incredible.
Well, that gives you something to really, when you're having a difficult time, it really gives you um, the ability to focus on what's important. And when you think about somebody, like that, when you have somebody in your life like that, it just makes the whole process that much better, because you're not only fighting for yourself, you're fighting to stay there with your son and have a quality life with him. And you said that he was pitching in since you've been going through some stuff, that he has been pitching in and really doing some really amazing stuff to help you out now too.
For an 11-year-old little boy, that yeah, he basically steps up every time I need him to. So he can basically looks after me when I need it. I look after him when he needs it. So yeah, we sort of complement each other in that respect.
Okay, now you had said that he's doing some advocacy work, and you had told me before that he has made a video, and that you have that on your site. So tell us a little bit about the video without giving it away, and then please share any kind of contact information or any kind of information that you want to about your speaking, your public speaking, and things of that nature.
No, fantastic. Yeah, well, my son he's actually on my Facebook page and also on my website, talking about how much he loves being with his dad so much, you know, and just talking about how inspirational he feels I am to him, as well as I feel for him. He's my inspiration to live, you know. He's just absolutely incredible. And you can see all that on my Facebook page, which is Adam B. Mate, or on my website, which is www.adambmate.com. And yeah, we've got all sorts of amazing things happening on there now. I'm going to be doing a lot more motivational speaking, a lot more getting out there and advocating. I do a lot of advocacy work for disability anyway, and I'm so proud of my son to be following in my footsteps there.
Well, I have a question that's difficult for some people, but it's a question that I have to ask, and we haven't spoken about this before. But depression plays a big part of these disabilities, and so have you ever gotten to the point where you felt like ending your life because you just couldn't really go on anymore?
Plenty of times. Yeah, the depression and anxiety and just how bad things can get inside your own head, as well as the physical and emotional pain that you deal with on a, fairly often as well. The loneliness of being, when I don't have my son is almost unbearable at times, just sometimes you just don't even want to get out of bed because you just feel so lost and so down, and you just sort of like, what's the point. But then you got to just try, and this is what I do every single day when I get out of bed, right? And sometimes it takes me half an hour to get out of bed because I'll be in such dystonic pain. It almost is such a painful experience waking up, and you just wake up and think, shit, why do I have to,
Well, it's kind of
I want
amazing
to get
because
out
I thought
and
that you were going to tell me
feel
no.
like
I thought that you were going to tell me no because you have such a positive attitude, even though I know you've been through so much stuff. But I understand it. I understand it. But I really did think that you were going to say no. But that's okay. I'm glad to have the honest discussion so other people know that a gentleman like yourself and even myself, I wanted to end my life. And one night, I have to tell you, I've talked to a few people about this, but one night got so bad that it was just like the tipping point. I just, was going over that edge, and it was a horrible feeling. I just there. All I wanted to do was to end it totally, and thank God my faith, and really, I didn't want my life to end that way, so it didn't. But it was a horrible feeling, and people that have never been there can't even begin to understand it. And there's a post on Facebook floating around about somebody that was trying to shame somebody into um, talking about that they were being selfish and that they were going to hurt a lot of other people. These people just don't have a clue of how much pain it must take for someone to want to take their own life. It's one thing to be so mad at somebody else that you might snap and want to take their life, but to want to take your own life, you have to be incredibly miserable and so much pain and not see any kind of way out. So it's a horrible place to be.
absolutely.
But my faith in God and also, my real will to live really, overrode that. And I was fortunate. I was right at the tipping point. I was right at the tipping point, and I have never felt anything like that before, where I just wanted to, just wanted to end my life. And thank God I haven't felt like that again. Now, for yourself, please share what might be a coping. One thing is, let me add this too. What I'm doing right now is vocational rehabilitation for myself because I haven't gotten any kind of help whatsoever. None. Absolutely zero. I have never had one day of cognitive therapy or any kind of help from a workers' compensation because I was injured in an accident at work. I have not received one bit of help from them. So this is part of my vocational rehabilitation. It costs me money to do this, but I'm hoping that someday I'm able to turn that around and it becomes my vocation. And I'm very happy. I did. The reason I started was to bring awareness. But uh, what it does also is right now it is nearly 2 o'clock in the morning where I'm at, and I stay so busy, I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. I'm out there trying to help somebody else all the time. So I don't sit around and have pity parties for myself. I'm out doing so many things in the community. I'm doing whatever I can to better my fellow man, and I'm doing the best I can to bring an undeniable awareness to traumatic brain injuries and many other. Well, I want to bring it to undeniable awareness of that, but also to help other people that have different things like Lyme disease and the strokes, and there's so many other things out there, and so many people that are struggling that need help, and no one listens. So when I started
That's
this,
where.
I, this is just going into year 6 right now. This is going into year 6 right now, and I wanted to give people a voice. So if they're misdiagnosed or have problems, or would like to share a message as you are tonight, that's what I'm doing right now. That's what Dundalk TV and the Global Brain Injury Association is all about. So thank you for allowing me a little bit of time to share, personal experience with myself, about myself, so that maybe that helps someone. Now, please share what helps you cope with your depression.
Well, you know what? Sometimes when you're that down and you're that depressed, the only way really is up. And that's why I try and think to myself and say to myself, you know what? Yeah, it might be a really crappy day right now, but you know what? It can't get much worse, or it can get worse. But, if
And
you
I
hit
got
rock
through it
bottom,
before. I got through it before. I'll get through it again.
absolutely. And I've been there many times. And yeah, depression and anxiety is a very big part of living with a brain injury. So yeah, most of us will suffer it in one time or another. So I just want to make sure that everyone out there understands that yeah, it will happen. It does happen, and it
Well, well, I have to say the old saying
you've
that
got
there's somebody out there. There's
to
somebody else out there. There's somebody. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be talking over you. I wasn't trying to. So the old saying that there's somebody out there that's doing worse than you are or has more problems you are. That seems to be so very true. And just what helps out a lot is helping somebody else. If you can help somebody else, especially something that you've been through and you know how difficult it was, and you just made life a little bit easier for someone with a disability, or you open the eyes of a family member or a friend to what that person is more than likely dealing with, or give them some kind of insight, that is very rewarding. And when you're feeling down, if you are helping somebody else, then it's an amazing feeling, and
and
it just gives you the willpower to keep moving forward.
yeah, that's why I do what I do, working with people with disabilities every single day, because you know what? I see so many people that are so much worse off than you and I want to make their lives that little bit better and that little bit easier. And if I can change one person's life or one person's day, that's what I want to do. I want to make them happy, and I want them to understand. I want the rest of society to understand that the push, the shove, the expectation, the pace in which everything is going now, for anyone that's had a brain injury, it is very difficult to keep up with the amount of stuff that's flying through at the moment. Like, to look at you right now on the computer, on a screen, is absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't have thought this in a million years that this could be happening. But you know what? This is crazy for me. So yeah, the push, the shove, the amount of stress and pressure that everybody expects from you after having a brain injury just gives you so much more anxiety, stress, and depression, which is what I really want people to understand, that we have been through a hell of a story, a hell of a life already, and people need to just take a step back. And if it takes us 10 times to remember something, like I'm lucky that I have such a wonderful partner that she can understand, that I need the prompting to remember and so forth. But there's just so many people out there, and they just want to fly. Like, I look at how quickly the world's moving, and it's scary sometimes looking at how fast things are. So
Well, let me add this to it, and maybe this might help you, and I hope it helps other people. And throughout the years, it took me a long time to figure out that when I was telling somebody else something, why they didn't get it. And most of the time it is because people draw from their own life experiences. So if somebody hasn't been through this before, they can't understand it. My mother suffered a traumatic brain injury. She went underneath of a tractor trailer in a car. So she had spinal cerebellum. I saw that she had problems. She really did severe. You know, she was very lucky to live. And then she went through a long period of working her tail end off to get back to close to normal. And then all of a sudden she started going down gradually. So she had 8 good years, and then she had a few years before her life had ended that things started going back downhill. So um, and until I suffered my own brain injury, I could have never understood what my mother was going through. I had no idea. I saw and perceived it in a certain manner. A gentleman that I went to school with, actually, when we graduated, he went to a beach where everybody goes to, Ocean City in Maryland. And on the way back, he was in a motorcycle accident. And I saw him after the accident, and you know, I really don't know how long, but we can say 6 months, a year, whatever, 2 years afterwards. Then I saw that he walked with a little bit of a limp, and his speech was a little bit slow and everything. But I could have never imagined until I suffered a brain injury what his life was like. And then once I became a brain injury survivor, he actually felt comfortable discussing all the different things that are going on with him. And, you know, he saw the similarities that him and I had. I saw them as well. But this is 35 years later, and he is going to work because he can't remember if it's a day he's supposed to go to work. So he drives to work just to see if he's supposed to go to work. And he has many different issues. He doesn't remember what day it is, and he has to reset his day every day and everything. So, you know, and if I wasn't so close to him, and he won't mind me sharing this because he's opened up and he's done some videos with me in the past. So his life is very challenging, and this is 30 some years later. Now, because I understand it now, because I'm a brain injury survivor, you know, I get it. But there's other people like me that aren't, haven't gone through this, that are looking at it through the eyes that I had before. And I think that's the way most people do it. So they go through their own life experiences and you know, use that as a guide for themselves. And I found that people, what they want to do because of that, they put their own expectations on where they think that you should be at. So if you're at level 2 and they think that you should be at level 5 or 7, that's what their mind tells them. You should be at level 5. You should be at level 7. Although you may be stuck at level 3 for the rest of your life. So you just have to realize that the people don't really mean anything by it, and they just don't understand. And if you do understand, you don't have to worry about if they understand. All you have to understand is why they're not getting it, and that'll make your life a lot easier.
Well, can I say something here? I find it extremely difficult and extremely frustrating when I am knocked back from a venue for being intoxicated, when I've just driven to the venue, because I walk like I'm drunk, and I do slur my words when I am tired and stuff like that. And I've got my keys in my hand, and I say to the guy at the door, hang on, man, I've just driven here. How can I have drunk? Why would I be drunk? And they still knock me back. And this has happened on many, many occasions. And I still find security and crowd control sort of people just have no understanding about people with disabilities unless you have a visual massive disability, that you're in a wheelchair or whatever. But for me, I find the lack of understanding from venues and their staff. I would love to educate these sort of people on not responsible serving of alcohol, but responsible serving of patrons with a disability.
Well, I can appreciate what you're saying. But then again, if you go to the flip side of the coin, they have a lot of people coming up to them that they're dealing with all the time, and they kind of got to go through them kind of quickly and everything. So my suggestion would be, in that particular case, is that if you get to know somebody, if you like a particular venue, go to that venue like during the day before the event is happening, or when it's off hour, and go into the bar and sit down and see how they treat you then. Get to know the people, maybe get to know the owner, let them know what's going on with you, and then if you go to, it's a little bit of a hassle, but you know, if you want to go out and enjoy yourself, then you say, if you go up to that particular person, you might be able to say, I'm not swearing it's going to work, but you might be able to say, I am friends with, let's call it Fred. Fred's the owner. I'm friends with Fred. I told him I was going to be here tonight. Would you check with him? He's expecting me. Then that might work out a little different. Now I know it's hard to go to a place cold, but I mean, it may help out in your social life, going out to a place that you like to frequent that maybe has music that you like, or something to that effect.
Well, I've come to the point where I just don't go out anymore because I'm just sick of it. So I don't go out. On a Saturday night, I'd rather stay home and watch TV, because I just find their lack of understanding and the amount of rubbish that I have to deal with just appalling in this country. I'm not saying the rest
Well, I
of
would
the
say
world.
that happened here too, because people are so used to drinking with people that are intoxicated and acting silly, and people just lie all the time. I haven't been doing that. I mean, that's the first thing that's coming out of somebody's mouth is drinking. It wasn't me, it was him or whatever. And you better whatever, leave me alone. It's you, not me. So that kind of mentality is out there already, and they're used to dealing with that all the time. So, but if you find a place that maybe you like to go shoot pool, that's, I'm sure people in Australia like to shoot pool, and just find yourself a place that you enjoy, and get to know the people there, get to know the doorman, get to know the owner. It could change things for you. That would just be a suggestion. So.
Well, that's why when I'm up at Mount Hotham, everybody knows me, and that's my happy place, and I can go place there, and everyone treats me equally, and that's where I love it so much because
right. And they know you. They know you. But
yeah.
but if you would have went there cold, somebody would be saying, "I think that guy's had a little bit too much to drink, possibly."
Yeah. No. Yeah.
That's difficult. It's difficult. I know they're very judgmental, and like I said, they like to say whatever they think you should be able to do is what you should be able to do in their mind. Whatever they're capable, whatever capabilities they think that you should have, that's what they expect from you. And if you're not living up to that, somehow you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, there's that.
I don't know anybody is trying any harder. I doubt anybody's up at 2:10 a.m. making a video to try to help other people out, so they don't suffer a traumatic brain injury or go through any other kind of stuff, or take their own life. So I just don't think many people are out there doing that. I've been out all day trying to straighten out some issues that were going on with myself. I wound up with 3 hours sleep last night, and I'm still going. So,
boy, man, you're a machine.
Well, I'm just driven. I'm driven, and like I said, this is actually. I made a decision a long time ago. I wanted to try to help other people while I was trying to help myself, Adam. So, well, listen. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to, because people won't want to watch 3 hours of us just talking back and forth. I would like to invite you to become a Dundalk TV reporter and cameraman, because what I'm doing is I'm getting people from around the globe to participate in shooting videos for Dundalk TV. Now, you know that I have the rule about the language. I really do want to stay with that, please. But since I may, I say may. You never know what life's going to hand you. Different miracles come all the time, and just amazing things. So, but just in case I don't make it to your corner of the world, I'd like to see that beautiful place that you'd like to hang out. I'd like to see a little bit of the history that interests you in your own area. Maybe some really interesting, even outside your area, some history. And then if you have some amazing people, if you want to do an interview with your son, it seems like you probably already have, but maybe this would really work. I think this would be great. Have your son go out and do an interview with someone, and you videotape that interview for Dundalk TV, and then you send it to us, and then we'll put it together and put it on there, and you and your son can both be videographers and cameramen for Dundalk TV. So I want to have a global experience. I want to have people from around the globe and throughout the United States. I have somebody in Delaware. I have somebody besides myself in Dundalk that's doing this. So I would like to pick you up tonight as one of the Dundalk TV videographers and cameramen. And I want to make sure that you're subscribed too. If you're not subscribed yet, I'd like for you to subscribe and get your friends to subscribe as well.
No problem. And just remember, you can always contact me on www.adambmate.com or my Facebook page, Adam B. Mate.
Well, I like to reach out. I like to reach out and talk to you on PM, as you know. So that's the way I like to do it. But I'd like to thank you very much for doing the Skype interview. We tried to do it last night. Unfortunately, ran into a little bit of technical difficulty. So I appreciate your patience, and it all worked out great tonight. I think it's a great interview. I'm delighted that you're doing as well as you are right now after having surgery a few days ago. And this is a quick prayer for me. I just make the sign of the cross. If I pass somebody that's having a hard time, maybe they're putting in an ambulance. I just do that. It's just, to me, it's a quick prayer. So I just said a prayer for you for your next surgery. And God be with you and your family. And I hope that the surgeons do another tremendous job for you again. I hope that they're able to get everything just the way they want this time.
Let's hope so. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'd like to thank all of the viewers, Dundalk TV viewers, and Global Brain Injury Association viewers for watching. Please get your friends to like the Global Brain Injury Association and also to check out Dundalk TV. And if you like what you see, please subscribe and share it with all your friends. Okay, from Dundalk, Maryland to Australia, Melbourne. And what town are you in Melbourne?
I'm in Vermont.
What is it?
Vermont.
Vermont.
Yeah, or you would say Vermont.
Okay. Well, I understood. It took me twice, but I got it. So, okay. Well, thanks again, Adam. And I'm delighted that you have someone in your life that's there with you, and also that your son is there for you as well. Just reach out and talk to us anytime as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Okay, from down under. See you, mate.
Cheers.